At the 65th running of the Macau Grand Prix, the 36th time for Formula 3 at Macau, and the third edition of the FIA Formula 3 World Cup. They're running under caution behind the safety car, working to complete a 15-lap feature race. This race resuming after a long red flag period. Action stopped after a terrifying crash by Germany's Sophia Flores. Her car flipped over the catch fence at Lisbon and into a photographer's stand. The red flag lasted for more than an hour. Injuries to Flores and at least 4 others at that corner. The driver is racing under a cloud in another memorable Macau Grand Prix. Here's how they line up. Dan Ticktum from Great Britain, the pole sitter. He's led every lap so far. Joel Eriksson of Sweden. Sasha Finistraz, Jake Hughes, and Mick Schumacher, son of the legendary Formula 1 great Michael Schumacher, runs 5th. Coming off a crash by Inam Ahmed just after the restart. The safety car coming in the next time by. The driver is under a time limit now. Late afternoon, darkness descending on the circuit. They'll have just over 6 minutes of racing time left. 6 minutes for Ticktum to try for his second straight win in Formula 3 at the Macau Street Circuit. The car's downhill out of the infield section headed for Fisherman's Bend, and the pace under the control of Dan Ticktum. The driver is anticipating going green just beyond the flat right-hander in the start-finish line right after that. Right at 6 minutes, the green flag, and they're racing again at Macau. Dan Ticktum, 19-year-old native of London, driving a Dallara Volkswagen for Motorpark Racing. Joel Eriksson, his teammate, lies in second. Speed down the straight more than 170 miles an hour. The sharp right-hander at the Lisboa Casino Complex just ahead. That's Callum Ilott under challenge at mid-pack. Eriksson has to go outside at the corner. Ticktum holds them off up the hill to San Francisco in the Macau Circuit infield. On board with Eriksson. He gave it a shot at Lisboa, but Ticktum went to the middle of the track, now holding his line, headed for the maternity bend. They run single file, but Eriksson, this is the closest he's been to Ticktum through the handful of racing laps today, a half second back. This is his third try at Formula 3 at Macau. Did not finish his first 2 runs here. All 3 drives with Motorpark Academy. Ralph Aaron of Estonia, he's gotten around Callum Ilott for 6th place. He's just behind Mick Schumacher now. Ticktum starting to open up some space on Eriksson midway through the infield section. Only 2 drivers have ever scored back-to-back victories in Macau Formula 3, both in the last 10 years. Eduardo Mortara did it in 2009-2010. Then Felix Rosenqvist in 2014-2015. Rosenqvist trying his hand at the IndyCars in the United States after a stint in Formula E. They make the turn at the Melco hairpin, the field going downhill again along the seaside. Macau, roughly 2.5 hours on the ferry from Hong Kong. Limited travel just started on the road along the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. At 34 miles, the longest cross-water highway connection in the world. Opened in October. They crossed the line to complete the lap. Under 4 minutes to go. Ticktum, Eriksson, Finistraz, the top 3. Ticktum more than a second up on the field. They wind their way down the front straight again. Ticktum won the 10-lap qualification race ahead of Eriksson and Ilott. The Motorpark teammates fought it out at the front in that one, ahead of Ilott and Finistraz driving for Carlin. The top 4 well ahead of the rest of the field. Ticktum scored fast lap of that race after losing the lead to Ilott early. He got it back and then had to survive a caution period to get a stray dog off the track. 12 laps are complete in the final. Ticktum and Eriksson on the mighty Motorpark team. Motorpark, based in Germany. a mainstay in European open-wheel racing. Established almost 20 years ago, Sergio Sitacamera set the Macau Formula 3 lap record running for Motopark. Tictum landed with the Motopark team in December 2017 after stints with lower Formula powerhouses Ardent International and Dams, climbing the ladder with a Formula 2 drive in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ahead of this Macau World Cup defense. The leader, a step below a Formula 1 drive, trying to clear a big hurdle and add to his resume with another win at Macau. The 2-minute mark has now been passed. On board with Mick Schumacher, the European Formula 3 champ. Ayrton Senna won the first Formula 3 contest here in 1983, Michael Schumacher in 1990. Takuma Sato from Japan, the first Asian champion in 2001, went on to Formula 1 and won the Indianapolis 500 in 2017. Dallara, the classic chassis brand for Formula 3 over the years in Europe and Asia. Volkswagen Power has won the Macau race twice in the last 3 Macau Grand Prix. Dan Tictum continues to increase his lead over Joel Eriksson. Places under contest further back in the field, Robert Schwartzman trying to move up in a fight for 10th place. 1 minute remaining. Then a final lap to decide the winner at the Macau Grand Prix. Tictum put in fastest sector times on the last lap. A performer in the GP2 and Formula Renault series, but he's racked up 33 FIA Formula 3 starts. Finished 8th in the qualifying race at Macau in 2016 before winning last year. Won national cadet racing titles in Great Britain in 2011. Finally made it to single-seater Formula racing in 2015. In the Motopark garage, the team looks on. An unusual note, in a lower Formula race in 2015, Tictum overtook cars illegally during a safety car period just so he could get in contact with and intentionally crash into a rival driver. Tictum earned a 2-year ban from Motorsports for that 2015 fracas and served 1 year suspended. As we go on board with Eriksson. The gap between first and second steadily increasing, almost 1.5 seconds. Tictum's career almost finished from that earlier incident, but he's come back, and in a big way at Macau. Fisherman's Bend again, making the turn to begin the final lap. Daniel Tictum, the outcome in his hands, in charge with the decisive lap, looking to seal the World Cup win. It was on this lap a year ago. Tictum was in third. 2 front runners battling for the victory. They crashed on the final corner, and Tictum came through to win in the wildest finish ever at Macau. Can he hang on to score his second straight win in the Macau final today? Darkness moving in on the Macau circuit. The red flag delay, that long interruption, even with the timed race, you can see the lights beginning to come on at the casinos, the street side vendors, all the other attractions in the city. And the drivers, most, if not all, using heavily tinted visors on their helmets. Nobody expected racing to go on this late in the day. Visibility may be starting to become an issue on the track in this final lap. Tictum pushing on. Eriksson in pursuit, but dropping back. He's got to hold off Finistraz for second. Past the corner where Ahmed brought out the last caution of the afternoon. A final time down the hill to the hairpin. Less than a third of a lap to go. Second, third, and fourth right together. Podium spot still in play, headed for the finish. Dan Ticktum, alone at the front now, looking at the final set of corners. A second place finish in the Formula 3 European Championship behind Schumacher. But no one will finish ahead of him today. Checkered flag just ahead. Dan Ticktum of Great Britain goes back-to-back at Macau. Ericsson second, Finistras third. Moto Park Racing goes 1-2 in the Formula 3 showdown. Dan Ticktum fighting through the circumstances, a well-focused drive, and a place in the history books. He registers his second straight victory on the streets in Macau.